it's Nikki.
And it's Bri.
And we're
Late to the Party.
a weekly podcast about the film, fashion, and pop culture moments that shaped us into the weirdos that we are. And today on Cut Gems, we're going down the drain and restoring the balance.
That's right.
How have you been, Bri?
I gotta be real with you. It's been a tough few days.
I know I saw you yesterday, but it's just been... It's been the dark ages.
It has.
This week's been the dark ages.
This week has been the dark ages. I feel like, seasonal depression's starting to sink in, but that is not all. I mean, I feel like, reading Julia Fox's book, Down the Drain, got me in a mood.
So yes, we are. This is like the inaugural episode of our book club, officially.
Because reading is what? Fundamental.
But yeah, Down the Drain by Julia Fox is a very interesting memoir. That's definitely put me in a mood. So I can't fault you. But yeah, how's the journey with Miss Fox been?
I mean, it's been good. A lot of ups and downs. I mean, her life is so crazy. And there's parts in the book where I had to stop, or parts that made me kind of cry, and then I went back to it because I was kind of hooked on the story. Mm-hmm. And now that I've read it all, I don't feel quite as burdened. I don't feel quite, you know what I mean? It's like a weight's lifted a bit. But yeah, I really enjoyed reading it or listening to it, a bit of both.
Yeah,
it's just been a lot. I mean, her life, I just can't believe she's lived so much life in such a short time. There would be parts in the story where it'd be like, oh, blah, 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 she's with this drug dealer, blah, blah. And it's like, she's 11. And I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And I'd be like, I'm thinking oh, she's got to be at least 18, whatever. And it's like, oh no, she's still 11. She's 9 or whatever. And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. It's so interesting. The movie, or not the movie, but the...
felt like a movie.
It did feel like a movie, which there's probably going to be a movie. There already talks.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I didn't hear this.
But I don't know, not officially. It's just, it was a Deadline article about it. But I mean, that's the thing, watching The Substance and reading Julia Fox's memoir.
Yeah.
Where it's these two forms of media aren't alike at face value, but the messaging of The Substance in all its satire and all its body horror and hagsploitation of it all, at the core of it, and then Down the Drain. At the core of Down the Drain is also a story about a woman who is Julia Fox, because she's been through so much in such a short life, because she's only 34 years old, and she's been in a mental institution, and she's been, she's a drug addict, and she's an artist, and she's an actress, and by being flung around throughout her whole life and childhood and young adulthood, she's become a person who is fully a fully formed human.
Yes.
And sometimes I think my biggest struggle is I do feel like Sue.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Because it's I feel like I'm on the tail end of I think people I think women really hit and come into their own, and it's so shitty. They start to fully come into their own at the time when society kind of wants to
get rid of them.
It's just really interesting.
Yeah. It is, and I definitely think there are parallels with The Substance and Julia Fox's memoir, because I had that same thought, especially towards I think more towards the end of the book. There's some things that she had said that I was like, oh my gosh, this made me think of The Substance, because I literally just watched that last night. There's a part in the book where she talks about swallowing her tooth. It's right after she does a shoot, or she's getting ready to do a shoot, I think for Harmony Korine, and swallows the tooth. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was crazy, because there's a scene in the movie The Substance where the girl is literally her teeth are falling out, and she might as well have swallowed the tooth, but she figuratively does, she swallows her pride. She's the show must go on kind of deal, and I don't know, there's so many layers, so many things women have to do with their appearance, and you know what I mean?
And that it's never good enough.
It's never good enough.
And you always want more, and you always either want to be younger or prettier or more perfect. it like doesn't stop. It doesn't matter. And it doesn't matter how old you are or young you are. Yes, society is ageist, but it doesn't matter. Like I was laying on the ground and you made a joke that like I took the substance and like someone was going to come out of my back.
Yeah.
And you know, I like jokingly back was like, oh, so it's going to be a child?
It would be. Yeah.
Like
that's crazy.
But that's actually like a thing that happens. And if you think about Hollywood, not to get too dark, that's kind of the thing that happens. Like, you know, like if The Substance was a different type of film, but it, you know, it was that world, Margaret Qualley Sue, even though like she's in her prime and like super successful.
She would take The Substance.
Well, yes, she would. Well, she does.
She does.
Because she real like, you know.
She needs like a better, yeah.
A better, more perfect version of herself. And then the shittier thing is, it's like in 5 more years, like that character would be like mid-30s, and then Dennis Quaid's like creepy manager dude would be like, you're too old.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It's true. Oh my God, he was so creepy. Which, do you want to talk about The Substance a bit? I don't know.
Let's get into The Substance since we're just talking about it.
Yeah.
So I saw The Substance last weekend in like the perfect movie going scenario.
Dude, I can't believe you saw this on the big screen because I watched this at home. There is like, it was a little horrifying in some parts. I was not ready.
Oh, those parts. Okay. I really recommend. I know a lot of podcasts, especially ones that I listen to, they, and rightfully so, they're always like, you got to go on Mubi to watch The Substance.
That's what you've been telling me.
They're sponsored by Mubi.
Oh.
We are not sponsored by Mubi, but I want to be. So,
go on Mubi.
So I will say,
get that free trial.
I wanted to watch The Substance again.
Did you?
No, I ended up watching a movie that I don't think I really liked called The Rules of Attraction, based on Bret Easton Ellis's novel, starring Shannon Sassamone.
Gotcha.
And Ian Somerhalder.
Ooh.
But a movie's great. But that's
you watched it on Mubi?
I watched it on Mubi.
Oh, okay.
Not sponsored, but would
Open
like to be one day. Get your 7-day free trial of Mubi right now to watch The Substance.
It was worth it though. The quality was really good, I will say.
Oh, they have really. We're not sponsored. They do have really good, like the way that site is curated.
Oh yeah,
is really nice.
I agree.
I love Mubi. That being said,
gotta remember to cancel that trial though. After
I know
7
me
days.
too. I have it on my Google Calendar ready to cancel. However, if Mubi would like to sponsor us,
yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
then we could then we could watch the movies like from the like that would be
comfort
very
of our own
convenient for
home.
what we do and what we talk about.
Art house films like The Substance.
I love art house films too.
Me too. Anyways, that was a long tangent to say. I feel like The Substance really does suit well for the theater.
I could see that. I loved all the like I love the cinematography and I loved the colors. Like there's definitely a color scheme, like the yellow, the blue, the pinks.
So many primary colors on a white backdrop.
Yeah. It tickled my eyeballs. But it also kind of scarred me a little. Like I knew it would be kind of scary.
Oh yeah, going into The Substance, what are your initial thoughts?
Well, at first, the first few minutes like of it, I'm just kind of like, oh, okay, like some of it I thought was going to be maybe a little funny. But then it gets deeper as the movie goes, and then it like I knew it was going to be good, but I was just like, you know, how scary can it be?
Yeah,
like because it does kind of set up just a few things. Like it is kind of satirical, and even at the beginning, you know, and it's a little dramatic. But I did love that. It's like with the posters and all. You know how like what is her name? It's
Elizabeth Sparkle.
Elizabeth Sparkle.
Demi
I was gonna
Moore's
say
character. Yeah,
Demi Moore's character, Elizabeth Sparkle. I could tell it's like a play on like a Hollywood star. I felt like Dennis Quaid's character was very horrifying.
Probably the most horrifying moment of that film is when he's eating the shrimp.
That gave me the ick. No one eats that many shrimp in one go, and eating the heads off the shrimp. I don't know. Like that was a lot. But then I knew from that moment I would really like it because it kind of grossed me out, but intrigued me because it's also so beautifully shot, you know?
Yeah.
And the sound is so good too. Like that. Well, they have a score kind of running throughout, and it's almost like club music. It's like
Yes. It reminds me a little bit of Challengers.
Mm-hmm.
And I love a score like that. That really, it does score the movie perfectly.
Yes. That's a thing, isn't it? I feel like that's a trend on some of the movies we like, because like The Hours has like a score that's throughout. Challengers.
Oh, I love like a good like EDM like club, especially with the substance. It really helps move the story along. I didn't realize how long this film was.
I didn't. It doesn't feel like it's over 2 hours. It's like 2 hours and 20 minutes, I think, but it did not feel like it.
It's such a journey. Watching this movie in the theaters, it just visually is amazing to see, but also with an audience, it was fun laughing at parts,
Yeah.
Like it's just like you're on this wild ride. But what it reminded me of was when I saw The Wolf of Wall Street, and that feeling at the end where, like Jordan Belfort is at one of the parties and he like stumbles out of his car into the car, and it's just like, okay, the excess, like the drugs, the women, like it's gross now. And like Scorsese does a really good job of like making you feel like hungover from the experience and like drained, like, oh, this isn't a party anymore. This is like, we've been on a journey. I've been through,
Yeah.
And with the substance, like she does that, the filmmaker does that as well. Like you're on this journey, so it doesn't feel like a 2.5 hour film. But in a way it does. You're like, oh, this has been
by the end of it, you're like, oh wow, that was a lot for one person to go through.
And that like fatigue afterwards almost, I think, was really, really excellent.
Yeah. No, I just it gave me like a bit of an icky feeling, but it was so cool. It was. What did you think of like the body horror aspect? Like, how did you cope with that? Because there's a few scenes where I had to cover my eyes. Like I had to cover the screen. I was like, I can't watch this. And like the noises, like I cannot. I was like, oh no.
I'm like such a squeamish person, but I was surprisingly really chill.
Yeah.
With the body horror elements of the substance. I mean, they're super gnarly.
They are.
Like, I'm not a super, I think this might be the first or second like body horror film I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Like I'm not super familiar. I'm not well versed in like a David Cronenberg's work or, something like that. Like I've kind of steered clear of that genre for some reason. But because this film tackles women's bodies, like that's the main thing about the substance. I think the body horror element really suits it, and I feel like this is like the only way to tell the story. I'm like, yes, more body horror. Like the grosser, the better.
Yeah.
The grosser it got, the funnier it got. And it's one of those things. It's like super funny. Like you were talking about Margaret Qualley Sue when she is having her crisis in the mirror and like her teeth start falling out.
Which is a nightmare in itself.
Well, that's like my reoccurring nightmare. Because I'm vain.
That's what they say.
But it was funny. Like the whole audience was laughing. I was laughing in almost a cathartic way because it's, I don't know, it just the body horror.
Oh, you know what scene really made me laugh? When she's like, as like the monster or like I forget.
Monstro Alyssa Sue?
Yeah, Monstro Alyssa Sue. And she's up on the stage and she's like, come on, guys, it's me.
Yes.
It's me up here. And they're like, monster. And then like, I forget exactly how her hand falls off. Maybe she's just grabbing the mic and but all the blood, like it's so excessive.
It turns into the opening scene of Blade.
I've never seen Blade, but
well, it turns into the opening scene of Blade.
Oh, it was hilarious to me because it just kept going and the people were sliding around and
just like screaming, like so B-movie. Like it was so funny.
Yeah.
But it's the truth in comedy too. I don't know. It's an interesting. I forget the director's name. Okay, so Coralie Farja. Now I forgot.
That sounds good. I forgot my thoughts.
I forgot my thoughts. But no, what was I saying? Oh, it's a really excellent job of. Okay, so like a running thing in this film is we see Demi Moore's Elizabeth Sparkle looking in the mirror. Like one of the standout scenes for me is when Demi Moore is looking in the mirror and she looks in the mirror a lot.
She does.
Both her and Sue.
Yeah.
That's like a common thread. They look in the mirror. And in a way, like it's always in the bathroom examining their flaws, essentially, or admiring them. Like
or admiring.
Sue,
yeah. Sue's like,
yeah, like Margaret Qualley's checking out her prosthetic boobies in the mirror. But there's that one scene where Elizabeth is trying to prepare for a date, and she keeps going back and forth and just like kind of second guessing herself. Do you remember the scene?
Oh, that scene. Yes,
where
that drove me
she's
crazy. I wanted to just be like, girl, get there. You're going to be late. Like, you look fine. And the more she redid her makeup, the worse she ended up looking, because it's like she really didn't need it really to begin with. Like, there's even the touch up she did. I'm like, okay, yeah, that looks good. Go ahead, girl. And then she just
every
smeared.
tiny thought. Like,
I feel like that's relatable. I feel like we've all been there, right?
Yeah.
We've all gotten really frustrated trying to put on the perfect makeup look
to be perfect. And the more you look in the mirror, the more you see the flaws and, pick at every little part. But, Sue also does that as well. Like, she's looking in the mirror when her teeth fall out. And, when she starts to fall apart, she's looking in the mirror. And it does hold up a mirror to the audience, or at least for me, to have to look inward and be like, this movie is so funny. Because I do know that I'm also afraid of aging. I'm afraid of not being perfect. I
have a confession.
Yeah.
I try to play it cool, but I too am afraid of aging. How do you embrace it at some point? I mean, I guess, we have a ways to go, but
we have such a ways to go. But that's the point. That was the point when Sue was having everything fall apart for her because of the substance. I do know, but they're one. But I know that, whatever.
Sue's kind of doing her own thing. Like, she's almost her own person. I was wondering, like, do they remember, like, everything, or do you black out when you switch? Because it's a little unclear. Like, I noticed, like, when they switch, either Sue or Elizabeth will have, like a vague, like, it'll be, like, a bit of a nightmare dream scenario that kind of, like, relates to whatever the other person was doing. Or I guess, they're one, but it's kind of like it gives you a clue of what you've been up to, I guess. But
like when the chicken leg comes out of her belly button.
Oh yeah, that was scary. And it's like hard to tell at first if that's like a memory or if that's happening in the moment.
Well, you know what I interpreted that as?
I don't know. No.
Well, since we are Sue's age, so we can only say this from her perspective, really. But like young women are so terrible to their bodies. And it's really just a form of self-destruction and self-sabotage, because who has to deal with the repercussions of that? Your older self.
That's true. Yeah.
And
she was more conscious
vice
of that.
versa.
Yeah.
Because when Elizabeth is so like resentful of Sue, she starts making that like gross French food and starts eating herself, and like doing things to hurt Sue.
She is hurting herself in this whole process, really, is what it is. I don't know. I thought that was crazy, just the way this movie kind of dissects, like, it's almost different parts of your psyche in a way. It's like, it made a lot of sense to me, I think.
Definitely. And like the cruelty, too, like towards women of a certain age.
Yeah.
And I don't know. It's so funny, like, thinking about, like, I don't think the substance is, like, fully, like, a hagsploitation film, but it is funny that there's no, like, male version. Like, there's no whatever happened to Baby Jane, but with men.
Well, it's interesting because there's that one guy that takes the substance, but
true.
We don't really, I don't know what's up with him.
Yeah.
But he's just kind of there,
He's just there. But yeah, we never see, like, an ex, like the old woman version of Pearl coming out to kill everyone. Like, that's like a popular thing, especially now. Like, old women are like really scary. Like, that's like a device in horror films. Like, we don't see men with their like gross bodies.
Maybe they're already scary. That's what I felt watching this, because like it is literally, I think it's also trying to say something about the entertainment business in general, just how it is very male dominated. Also, I don't know if they named like the main guy Harvey on purpose. I feel like they did. Yeah.
They had to,
right? But then, like, the executives or whoever, the producer, like, The shareholders, maybe they were shareholders.
Oh yeah,
They're all
yeah,
old white dudes, all looking like the Monopoly man.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that was a choice.
It's funny that especially Elizabeth, she only ever talks to men.
Yeah,
There's not another woman present.
that's true. Yeah.
And what I've learned from Julia Fox's memoir is really like when you do things for the male gaze, you're never going to win.
Yeah.
Because like if you think about Elizabeth, she was looking great making her workout videos.
Mm-hmm.
She was sparkling.
She was.
You know? She was sparkling her life even at 50. It was Dennis Quaid's, manager character and the shareholders that were like, you're too old. You're past your prime,
Yeah, we don't know what the girlies were thinking.
Yeah,
like, they don't
were
really
the
touch
girlies
on that.
thinking?
It's like she's so isolated or
Mhm.
something.
But even when Sue was doing really well, there comes a point.
Yeah. Also, I gotta say, it was a little wild to think about the workout video because I'm like, no one works out like that anymore. I was like, does this movie take place like in the now or in the 80s? Or I mean, there's nothing that really is
They
a
have
particular
phones.
reference to. Yeah, that's true. It has to be now, I guess. But there's something that like Dennis Quaid's character Harvey says like, oh, and I don't know if this was just a dig, like an exaggeration, but when he's talking about like it was like that bathroom scene in the beginning where Elizabeth Sparkle overhears him because she uses the men's room because the women's room is like closed or like it's not working, and he comes in, is on the phone, and he says something like oh, she was popular in the 30s or something, or like like she was a star in the 30s, like he made it sound like I don't know if he's just exaggerating, like she's old. Meanwhile, he's probably older than her or the same age.
Yeah.
But, I was just like,
Well,
that's
men are
interesting.
allowed to age gracefully.
Yeah. So unfair.
It is unfair. It's interesting like to think that Demi Moore and Brad Pitt are like the same age.
Oh, yeah.
But like the way that one of them just right now is making a comeback and, has all these like, I don't know, just were really cruel to women. Shocker, shocker.
Yeah.
Especially aging women. But it also like, I don't know, I thought this movie was so, it resonated with me seeing Sue fall apart.
Yeah.
Because like also she was like wanting to take the substance to be perfect. So it doesn't really matter how old you are. It's just like a losing game, which is funny because it's all nonsense and silliness. If even Sue wants to take the substance.
That's true. Yeah.
And that's kind of how I feel in life too. It's interesting. I think we've been like on a journey about like, I've been saying coming to terms with age. And we're like coming to terms with aging. And like meanwhile, it's like spending all your it's like, okay, you know what it really is?
What?
I feel like we've spent like the past year, we're Kendall Jenner to our like self-imposed like Kylie Jenner. Like, that clip where Kylie's like, oh yeah, Kendall's 30. And Kendall's like, no, I'm 27. And Kylie's like, same thing. And Kendall's like, no, it's not.
Yeah.
And like even this year when Kylie Jenner turned 27, Kendall like poked a joke, oh, you're practically 30. But that is like the thing.
Yes.
It's like what are we talking about? We're just harming ourselves.
We are, which I feel like that was like the biggest theme maybe is like self-harm, even if it's not like literally like, what you might think of it as, but just like, it's like mental self-harm, like the hoops like women have to jump through sometimes, or like sometimes that you even put yourself into what you think, just to be perfect. Because like Demi Moore, like, well, she's gorgeous. She looks like perfect. You know what I mean? Like she looks great. And it's
also,
just
she's
crazy.
playing 10 years younger, which is such a slay.
Such a slay. That's what I'm saying. Like I'm like Elizabeth Sparkle's fine, but that was not. I kind of had a feeling that like it would unravel, like things would unravel, and I had a feeling because there's like a limit they put like on the substance. It's like the instructions they give you, which are very vague, by the way. I'm like, how did she know to do all these things? Is that something? But I'm like, whatever. I guess that doesn't need to be explained. She can follow
instructions really well.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, I'm like,
I'd be
I get
lost.
something from IKEA, and I'm like, good enough. And then it's shaky. It's wobbly because I don't want to follow the directions because I'm bored.
Yeah, can you imagine trying to do this? I mean, I feel like it's like they just give you a bunch of needles, a bunch of things, like little. I would just be like, what do I do with this?
I couldn't take the substance because I would not be well.
I couldn't sew up my own.
Oh my god. Well, if my like Sue or my child, whatever, who's this character, Millie, my like child that would creep out of my body. Like, what if they didn't know how to sew?
Probably, yeah.
I'd be
You'd have to
so
stomach
pissed.
that. Like Sue's a G.
She is, yeah.
Oh, she's crazy. But anyway,
But yeah. No, I think this was like the film of the year. I love Demi Moore's performance as well. And like,
oh my gosh. And when she becomes like, when Sue's like taking her life energy literally, and she's like getting all like creepy. It's not just like old. It's like, I don't know, like her body's all distorted and bony and creepy. Like that was crazy. And she's running around like so fast at the same time.
in her fabulous peacoat.
Yeah, that
yellow
yellow
peacoat.
I love that. Fashion icon.
Yes. They'd be missing such an opportunity if it's not nominated for at least something like technical, like a makeup.
Yes,
category.
the makeup was crazy. Like it looked so like real, and I mean it is a little over the top, but it's good.
effective.
It's effective. Yeah, like when like it's like Demi Moore's face coming out of her back. Like that's crazy to me. It should win something. Yeah, because horror movies don't really get their own category, unfortunately.
No, but I don't know. I don't know if this counts as a horror film.
Yeah.
Like it's not your typical. Like I also saw Heretic this week,
Oh,
which
yeah.
I liked, but that's a horror film.
Mm.
You know, it's an A24 horror film, but still, like the substance is in a league all of its own. But I could see it being snubbed a little bit in like a Saltburn type of way.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think it should because I think this is a really great film.
Yeah, I agree. I think people should go see it
Yeah.
or get Mubi.
Go get Mubi. However, if you can't see it in a movie theater, it was really nice to hear everyone's like thoughts, like walking out. Like I heard a lot of chatter being like, "Oh, this is like David Cronenberg's The Fly," or like, "Oh, you know, I thought it was really interesting. I didn't think it was going to be funny," or you know.
Yeah, that is the beauty of going to like a theater, is hearing other people, getting reactions.
Yes, hearing the buzz.
Yeah, I need to get out to the theater more.
Yes, Bri. I didn't see any walkouts, but apparently that was like the big headline is people were walking out of the substance because it was too gross.
I was gonna say probably because of the gory. I just closed my eyes a little, you know.
Wimps. But yeah, would you take the substance?
I don't think so. I don't think I could. But they don't really let you know what you're getting into is part of it. I feel like they kind of trick you.
But you're so desperate. I mean, oh my God.
You have to be in a really desperate spot. So it would depend. Maybe.
But desperate spot. Like, it's
not
all
right now
about vanity, though. I mean,
yeah. Maybe later in life, maybe I would go through you know.
But people get fillers. People get Botox. People get facelifts. People take Ozempic.
That's true. I can't do needles. I don't think I could do it. I don't know. Would you?
I mean, not now, but yes, I would probably take the substance.
Yeah. Do you think you could keep it in check, though? That's the scary thing.
No, I don't. No, I don't know. But it's also like I can think like 30 years into the future. 20, 30? Yeah, it'd be 30 years. 30 years into I can do math sometimes. 30 years into the future and be like, oh, you know, as Elizabeth Sparkle, yeah.
Yeah, I know, right?
I would take it, and then I would see, you know, Sue and be like, oh, like I couldn't kill her either. Like I would be in the same situation Elizabeth Sparkle's in.
Yeah. I understood, even though I knew, I'm like, oh, she's not making, like that's only gonna hurt you later. Like, don't do it. But you're like, oh, I could totally see like why she would just be like, yeah, do your New Year's show. Like, this is for us or something. Even though, you know, you're going to come back and be all, I don't know, all crazy looking like one of those little floop. I don't know. Like,
it was like Floop and Spy Kids.
Yeah. Like the little, whatever that clay that it morphs into like a face. And
oh, Tony Shalhoub?
Whatever Tony Shalhoub does in that film. Like he's the scientist and he makes like freakazoids.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm. We should probably be kinder to older women.
Yeah.
Because I've also been like a little bitch, like Sue, to women older than I am, just because I'm young, you know?
Mm.
Do you ever do that just sometimes? It's a
No.
vicious cycle. Say something you know that they're going to be like, oh, that makes me feel old. And you just kind of have
Oh.
like a smirk on your face.
I think I've done that to people in general, maybe.
These
but
karmic retributions are going to happen for us, Bri.
we got to right the wrongs now.
We do. We just need to be kinder to women.
Yeah.
But you know who has really interesting relationships with women?
Julia Fox?
Julia Fox. Because we've also... So we watched
We've had a wild
Substance.
week. It really has been.
This has been like... I feel like if we just watched The Substance for this episode, it'd be a different energy than if, at least for me, if I didn't spend the past week with Julia Fox going down the drain.
Same.
Because
Yeah.
it's kind of zapped my life force.
Yeah. I hear you. I know. I feel like I'm finally getting it back.
I feel like I'm still in it. And I finished the book before you. I don't know why. I think I've been so sheltered that like my life really pales in comparison to Julia Fox's. But also I love Down the Drain because I could like empathize with her in a weird way. Or like not even empathize, sympathize, be in her shoes.
Yeah.
I don't know. I have a lot of compassion for Julia Fox now. But
Definitely.
yeah, what were your thoughts on reading Down the Drain?
I mean, oh man, it's just so wild. Most of it is tragic, I feel. There's like a few funny parts, but most of it you're just like, oh my God, no way. And like it's like just when you think like, oh yeah, there's some drama happening in her life, it like ramps up and ramps up and ramps up, and you're like, there's no way anything else could happen like worse than that. And then something else worse happens, you're like, oh, okay, wow, that's even worse. But like it can't get much worse. And then it keeps getting worse. And then, you know, it's just like crazy to think that this is someone's life and they've been through so much. And then to come out on the other side is, I mean, really awesome, you know?
But it's also like she's still kind of in it. I don't know
yeah.
if she's come out the other side exactly.
True.
I mean, what I was really taken by, because, you know, I've seen a lot of comparisons to Julia Fox's memoir Down the Drain to like the movie 13.
Oh, okay.
Or like a 2000s like film like a Pieces of April, or even like a Larry Clark's Kids. But the book, when she like grows up, it goes from being like 13 to I don't even know what to compare it to, but it's like her life doesn't get better, and just because she has more notoriety now or has reached a certain level of fame, like then two of her best friends die. And you know,
that was really sad.
Yes.
That
I'm
part,
still
yeah, there's
upset.
some parts where I was like ugly crying, and
Gianna dying
yeah,
still makes me upset. So,
yeah.
and also like thinking about how like even after the artist, who we know is Kanye West.
I know. I love how she's just like the artist. I know. Like I loved in the beginning how it's just like names have been changed to protect the innocent and the guilty. I like how she kind of put that, you know?
Yes. But yeah, I don't know. Like she's still on this
we don't
journey
know.
called life.
Yeah, it's a lot of trauma for one person, I feel,
Yeah.
to unpack.
Well, and it also made me think about, you know, coming in, like I know enough about Julia Fox, and I'm like a big fan of her style and just her like candidness. I love her as a public figure. I love her TikToks.
I love her TikToks.
Just whatever she touches. But I came into the Julia Fox fold, like my understanding of her, Josh Safdie's muse.
Right.
In Uncut
Gems, which we did watch Uncut Gems.
We did. Which I liked.
Yeah.
But even Uncut Gems it pales in comparison to the life of Julia Fox.
I know.
And just hearing about like the behind the scenes of, or like reading, you know, just how great of an experience working on Uncut Gems was, but
like
also
playing basketball
was,
with them.
yes, but also she was still like doing drugs, and like that was her
Yeah.
last moments with Gianna and like whatever. So I don't know, what was my point? Oh, I just know her as Josh Safdie's muse, and then everything after that.
yes.
So I don't know if my opinion about Julia Fox would have been, I don't know. I feel like I'm late to the party on her is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
But even though that's when everyone,
I was going to say, I think everyone is
Yeah.
though. Except now, unless you read her book, then you're caught up pretty much. Because she covers everything, it seems.
She was like in the New York scene
Yeah.
for so many years. And did you see, I think it was Huffington Post did an article in 2017, but she did this show called R.I.P. Julia. And she talks about it in the memoir. But it's like, it's a really interesting little art piece.
I know. Didn't she have one also PTSD? I think too. Like she's done a few art shows. I saw like this clip that popped up and they were like interviewing her, but I don't know. Maybe it was around the time she did the art book or after. I'm not sure.
Everything's vague. Even in the book, it's really vague.
Yeah.
So like I'm confused about a lot of names, a lot of people, but years.
Yeah, she does throw a lot of names in there. It is hard to keep up because it's like she has these friends and then she loses her friends and it's like one second she's in New York, then she's back in Italy, then she's in New York again, you know.
I really enjoyed that aspect of the book though, because it does, I think, flip-flopping so much and putting it in her perspective. Usually a lot of memoirs, especially celebrity memoirs, like a Miles to Go by Miley Cyrus, this is not.
Oh my gosh. Have you read that?
Yes, I did. As a kid, I read Miles to Go by Miley Cyrus.
Wait, she had a memoir?
Yes.
What?
In 2009, at the age of 15, Miley Cyrus had a memoir called Miles to Go.
Wait, I guess you would have miles to go at 15.
And she did have miles to go.
Is that just what I have miles and miles to go. It's all about the climb.
I just remember it was a lot of pictures. Backstage Hannah Montana photos. But alas, I think a lot of memoirs are like from people a lot older than 34, which is Julia Fox's age right now.
True.
But they're saying it like reminiscing or like, oh, I remember when this happened. They're kind of
they say it like they're like it's further away and they're like, oh yeah, when I was a kid, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, and Julia Fox, especially, listening to her audio.
Yeah.
On, the audiobook. She's really like her innocence really shines through and like having it told in a way that like feels like she's reliving it, like living and breathing in it. You just have so much more like empathy for her.
Yeah, like because I think most of it is like first person, right? She's like, here I am sitting wherever. Like it really paints the picture. It really immerses you in this story. Like I feel like I got so many like visuals. Like I could almost see what was happening. Like just the way, like the detail she goes into.
Yeah, and it's like a non-judgmental way to deal with all these topics.
Yeah,
it's just a lot easier to digest, I thought.
Yeah, I think so.
What are some standout moments from Down the Drain for you?
Well, one of the moments I would say is when she meets Mia, like at school, and like I think there's some things I was like, oh my god, that's so cute. Like when they're like watching Rami and Michelle or something, like we want to be like them when we're older, and we'll get an apartment. And then it was like really sad and tragic when they get pulled apart because like her father's dating Mia's mother. And there's like drama with her mother and her father. I'm like, oh, just, I don't know, seeing her struggle to make friends or like, I don't know. I feel like there was a lot of moments like when she talks about her grandfather and how he was like a mother and a father to both of them. Got me in the feels. When she becomes a dominatrix.
Oh, yeah. I really loved Raul, her sugar daddy.
Or Rohan, I think.
Rohan.
That doesn't. But wait, names have been changed, right?
Rohan.
So might as well.
What if I was just
his real name might be Raul? Are you getting a vision?
Maybe. No, it's Rohan.
Yeah.
I liked Rohan.
He seems like a good sugar daddy. He seems like the ideal sugar daddy.
Yes.
Like no fuss, no muss.
Speaking of self-sabotage, though, I thought that was a really interesting chapter in her life. Post dominatrix. Because she like dreamed of a sugar daddy. She's like prayed for a sugar daddy and she gets Rohan.
She manifested.
Who is the ideal sugar daddy. Like gives her the money to start her fashion line with her friend, living her Romeo and Michelle fantasy.
I know. I love how she's like helping her friends out too. She's like, ooh, like I'm going to get him to pay for this. Yes. I'm going to like give them these clothes, whatever extra stuff. Like,
yes. And all things considered, he's pretty nice to her.
Yeah.
But she's like really young.
Yeah.
And she like she just goes down the drain. That's how the title Down the Drain comes, because he says you're throwing your life down the drain. And she gets involved with Shane.
Yeah.
And just, all the men in her life really are
Terrible.
terrible.
Yeah, I wasn't fond of any of them except Rohan a bit. Like I was like, okay, he seems like the best one, I guess. Like he's supportive.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, at least with Rohan, every other man in her life is like really terrible.
Yeah.
So I
like
guess
unstable,
in comparison,
crazy, mean.
yeah.
I mean, even when they talk about Kanye, it just didn't seem real.
Yeah.
Like it was just performative, I guess. The relationship was just like a PR stunt of sorts.
I think so. I think, he might have used her in a way. Like used her.
Yeah, I think so.
Just for publicity. But that's okay. I mean, she got out of that. What I thought was interesting about the artist or like Kanye situation is, after Uncut Gems, she had so much momentum going. Like I even remember when that film came out. Well, it was like 5 years ago, but it
still seems like yesterday.
It really, with COVID time, it was yesterday. 2019 was like yesterday,
right?
But I remember buzz around a Julia Fox, and I wonder if the stint with Kanye kind of hurt her in a way.
You think?
I don't know. I think it definitely made her more of a caricature in people's minds. Like
take her less serious.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. But I think ultimately it's for good.
Yeah.
Because Julia Fox is always going to make lemons out of lemonade and come out on the other side.
Yeah.
And like she did use that relationship. But it's sad that it's almost like her relationship with every other man. It like helps her grow as a person and like deepen herself.
But
like,
not these men.
But also they're always the villain. They're always the thing standing in her way.
Yeah. And that's why she's sworn off.
Yeah.
Like in that TikTok.
Wait, do you think she is a lesbian? Because this book, even without her coming out on TikTok as a lesbian, I was like, wait a second. All of her female relationships are really like deep.
Yeah.
Is she?
I think she is. Or I think she's queer at least.
But I could have told you that because some of these female relationships are very deep.
Yeah.
That's what stood out more to me. Like the men just constantly treat her wrong and, hurt her consistently. And it's really interesting. Like Julia Fox, post the artist and like post fame, like she's really come into her own, it seems. And like is like a fully formed adult and a public figure and an artist and kind of has like stepped into that and been like, oh yeah, this is for the female gaze now.
Yeah,
this is for the girls and the gays. This isn't for you.
I love that.
And like before she was with like for the male gaze, a lot of her life has been spent sexualized, especially from a young age. So like now to see her come out on the other side is great. But yeah, I feel like a lot of Down the Drain is a lot of men doing her wrong, a lot of struggled with addiction, but then also along the way forming these really like deep female friendships that have much more emotional depth than any relationship with a man could.
Definitely. Yeah. No, I really enjoy it. I mean, like her friendship with Leanna, so many of the girlies. Even when she went to the like psych ward and befriended someone there, I loved that part because she was like, she told me she was a witch and I believed it. She's like, I'm a witch too. And they just did spells on their exes or whatever. I'm like, yeah, get them. And then she gives her like a crystal or something.
Any other standout moments from Down the Drain or what really resonated with you?
Well, I feel like this part's more in the beginning when she talked about like being a regular at the hospital. She's like, I felt like safe there. She's like, I knew that I'll be taken care of. Because she didn't know, like, when she was a kid, pretty much. Because she was just, like, bouncing back and forth so much. I'm like, oh, wow, that really got me. I feel like she's just so vulnerable. And it's refreshing. And it's like, painful to read, though, at the same time. But I guess you have to do something with all that trauma. Like, I guess writing probably would help it come out. Like, the way she, like, ends the book is, like, I'm trying to let go of resentment, which I think is a good lesson in general, and I'm just like, wow, I'm just in awe, I think, of just the stuff she's been through. And like, you have to be like really strong and resilient to like still be here, things were like really bleak
There's like freedom on the other side, though.
Yeah.
I loved when she talks about motherhood and her son Valentino,
Mm-hmm.
and just how that's changed her and like affected her as a person, and like maybe put some things into perspective for her, I guess, or like have something to like, I don't know. That being said, though, she did go and try to like avenge the death of Harmony, and kind of like forgot she had a kid for a second.
Yeah.
So, but besides that, she's a very human. This memoir is so human.
Yeah.
And I just like root for her. Like the whole way through, it just was like Julia. Team Julia.
Same. Julia.
So now reading Down the Drain, what is so Julia that Charlie XCX is referencing? Is it just that she's an it girl and John Safdie's muse, or does it have a deeper meaning to you now that you know her story?
Yeah, I think it does have a deeper meaning to me. I feel like being so Julia is just being like your authentic self. Because I feel like that's what she is. She's just she's herself without worrying or caring. You know, I think at some point like in her life she probably did try to like hold back or like not be, you know, probably having to play pretend to fit into like all these roles that she was in. But I think that's a big part of it. It's just her authenticity makes her so Julia. That and her fashion sense. And like I thought it was really cool. What I really enjoyed too was reading about like her influences, like well, it was mostly like her grandfather or her grandmother that were like positive influences and like artistic people. They're like, oh look, keep like writing or drawing or whatever. Let's go to the theater, let's go to the opera, blah blah blah. Like, what was my point? Oh, I think she's a very artistic person too. And is not afraid to be a little weird, maybe, and like lean into it.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you think is so Julia?
Well, everything you said, I like second that. But also to piggyback off of that, a standout moment in the memoir for me is the R.I.P. Julia moment of her life when she creates that like art show. Because she's also like, when someone asks her, why are you doing this? She's like, yeah, that chapter of my life is over. Like, I'm gonna start anew. And she does. Mm-hmm. And like, that was like in 2017. And, you know, a couple years later, she gets the role in I Cut Gems. And it kind of does start a whole new chapter of her life.
Yeah, her ability to just recreate herself and that burn things to the ground.
So that it can,
you
can be reborn. I think that's so Julia.
Yeah.
You know, just being able to be like, oh, I'm going to change my story. Like, I'm in control of my narrative.
I love that. Yeah.
I'm a muse. I'm, a fashion icon. I'm an artist. I'm a bitch. I'm a mother. I'm a whore.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
love it.
That's Julia.
That sums it up. I know. I've been thinking that song's been in my head all day too. I feel like it has a different, or like a deeper meaning. I'm like, okay, yeah, I get it.
Well, she does say at the end of the book, I'm an artist in the role of a lifetime, playing me.
I love that.
Like her gift to the world.
Oh my gosh. Did you see like that, that clip where she's like being interviewed about her book and they're like, oh, how's it going? She's like, oh, it's a masterpiece if I must say so.
Yes.
And did you know that she hadn't written it yet when she said that?
Yes. It wasn't she also like high the whole time in that interview or something?
I don't know. But
I mean, truth.
I think that's just so funny though. Like she was like, I set the bar so high, I had to deliver. And I'm like, yes, queen. The Delulu-ness a bit.
I don't think it's delusional.
Yeah, maybe not.
I think it's like an inner knowing.
Yeah.
I think it's so crazy how, which I love. So this is not to like yuck your yum with the Delulu phrase. But I think we overuse the word Delulu, delusional.
Probably.
Because what I've learned from Down the Drain, Julia Fox is someone who, it's in like the final chapter. She talks about, she's kind of summing up where she is. It's kind of in the artist phase. She says something to the effect of, this is all happening for me, but I always knew it. Or like, my grandfather saw it in me. Like, like people saw it in me and I saw it in myself. Like, of course. I'm just paraphrasing.
Yeah.
But there is an inner knowing Julia Fox has that I think we all have. And that like sometimes we just don't like let ourselves have that confidence.
Yeah.
Why does it have to be under like, oh, you're delulu or you're delusional? Like, no. What if you just have an inner knowing?
Mm-hmm. And she always has. And I do like, I thought that was really interesting to read, because we kind of get her inner thoughts here. And just her like knowing that she could be more or want, you know what I mean? Even when she's with Rohan for a bit, he's like, you don't have to worry about anything. And like her heart's like, she's like, but I want a purpose. Like I need to do something. Like I'm called to do something. She just had to go down the drain.
Yeah.
To get there.
Which in the book.
Oh, yeah. Wait, no, I had the same. I wrote down the same thing, Nick. That was what she says at the end, I think.
Yes. So she says, sometimes you have to say fuck it and throw your life down the drain just to see where you'll come out on the other side. The most profound beauty emerges from the ashes of destruction. And by that, I mean that sometimes you have to burn your life to the ground in order to experience the life that is truly meant for you. If you believe in the power within yourself, anything is possible.
I love that. Yeah, no, that inspired me. I love it. Yep. Burn everything to the ground. Makes me want to figuratively burn some things.
I think it's necessary. Which is funny because we are recording this on the full moon.
I was going to say that to you before. Because when I was like on my way here, that was the first thing I noticed as I was like backing out of the driveway, the full moon with like the clouds. I was like, ooh, I feel something in the air. I have this like feeling and I'm like, is it a full moon?
Mm-hmm.
Because like sometimes it looks like it.
One too.
Yeah. Wow. Is that the time to reinvent? Is that what
I think it's the time to reinvent, rebrand, burn everything to the ground. Yeah. I've been feeling that lately.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll have a R.I.P. Nikki.
Yeah.
Art installation,
Same. Maybe I will too.
Yeah.
R.I.P. Bri. No. Just for my own.
You're like, yes,
I feel
burn it.
No. But I feel like I could, stand to let go of some resentments maybe, or, come to peace with it. Like, I just think it's really
come to terms with where we are and where we could be and the in-between, which is the now.
Exactly. Yeah. I think Julia Fox is an inspiration and I'm like always curious about what she's going to do next,
It's always going to be what she wants.
Yeah. I love that.
That's admirable.
I agree. And I love like an unspoken woman. You know what I mean? Like I love how she's just like, I'm doing whatever I want to do now. Like I think she writes about that in the book as well. Like at a certain point, she's like, I'm doing this because I want to do this. I'm like, yes, girl.
Yes. We need to all be a little bit more like Julia Fox.
Yeah.
But before we wrap this up, I have a really important question to ask you. So I've noticed on Spotify that if you go to listen to this audiobook, the cover of Down the Drain
is her is the back. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's gone from, she's like, how would you describe this?
It looks like she's going down a tunnel of sorts. I guess it's supposed to be a drain, but it's it almost looks like maybe not foil, but it does kind of look like a DIY kind of scenario. Like she's sinking. It looks like she's sinking. She kind of looks like a mermaid.
She does look like a mermaid. Very aquamarine. Addison Rae coated.
Yeah, definitely. It has that vibe of like a little gritty. It's that style that we just learned. I forget what that's called too. The directing style of that.
Oh,
the one dude.
Oh yeah.
Whatever, when it's like realistic. I know that she she said she did the creative directing of the shoot.
Ooh.
So I thought that was really cool.
Well, I love the original art where she is going down the drain.
Yeah.
But it has changed to, like you said, the back.
Yeah.
Which is her in like this. She looks like a bodybuilder.
That's what I thought too. I was like, I mean, it's kind of sexy, but it's like strong.
A dominatrix bodybuilder?
Yeah. I don't know. That was her idea.
But yes, which one? Which one's a better cover? That's the real question.
Yeah. Well, I think down the drain where she's going down the drain definitely does. But I do like the pose of her like that. And maybe it's on the back for a reason though. Like maybe she's come out, like maybe it's like a reference to like what she's been through and how she's come out strong.
Wait. Look at this again.
Okay.
I mean, this is an audio medium, but
if you have the book, flip it over. So I'm looking at the front. Oh, yeah. And there's water droplets too. Like she's going down the drain. Her hair, I think her hair is different, right?
yes, but look at the DIY like background of it all.
Yeah.
Okay, now look at the back.
Wait,
Look at her
she's
cape.
wearing it. It's the cape. She isn't.
She isn't.
She's the drain.
No, because look at the bottom of the cape.
No, it looks like that same material, whatever that is. Yeah. Is she just wearing the cape the whole time? Has she always had the cape with her this whole time? Is that also figurative? She's her own
isn't that
hero.
interesting?
Yeah.
Or am I reading it wrong? It just
No, that's what it looks like to me.
I just noticed that, but
I feel like there's got to be symbolism in there. She knew what she was doing. But yeah, that is interesting to note that they changed the cover. Do you think that's for a reason, or do you think it's like why for the audiobook?
well, even the audiobook, it was this until a couple weeks ago.
Oh, so they just changed it?
Yeah,
Maybe they're just experimenting. I don't know.
I guess.
I love that there is a picture on the front and the back. And there's a little Julia on the side too.
a little bodybuilder
Going like,
Julia
"Woo,"
Fox
with their hands in the air.
You know, what a grown up. Julia Fox is very young still in her life.
I know.
And like, you know, she's like, if we had a big sister, she could be that age.
Yeah.
We're not like too far off from Julia Fox, which is interesting because she's a woman.
Yeah, she is. Hear her roar.
Hear her roar. She's a bodybuilding woman, and she's lived more life. Her at like 12 years old is lived way more of a life than I have.
I know, right?
And we're here worried. We're having the Kendall Jenner
This book,
27 dilemma.
I will say, it definitely puts things into perspective. Maybe things aren't as bad as I thought, you know?
Yeah, definitely.
But it's also inspirational, just how she goes through, like how she's just been so resilient.
I mean, yeah, no, I really enjoyed going down the drain. It drained me.
It did drain me a bit. Definitely. I know when you text me, you're like, "Are you okay?" Like, yeah, I was just reading some more of that book.
It's like, I get it. I totally get it.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's interesting. I mean, that means it's a great book if you can like read it and listen to it and like feel what she's feeling and be totally immersed, but it also just affects you, you know?
Yeah. I know. I'm like, I almost want to buy the book now. Like, if I have a physical copy of it, you know?
Yeah.
Just like, I would read it again. I mean, it's like a lot, but I'm like, wow, I don't know.
Great.
It is.
I thought this was going to have pictures.
Oh, yeah, there's no pictures,
There's no
is there?
pictures. These are just words, baby.
Yeah. That was interesting to learn about, too. Like, she comes from a family of writers, so I guess, like on her dad's side.
Yeah.
Who knew?
And her real name's Julia Fox.
And I know, it's not even like a made up. Yeah, that's.
Some people are just born with it.
Born for greatness.
Born for greatness. And maybe everyone's born for greatness. We just maybe need to
Listen to ourselves.
give ourselves a different narrative, burn things to the ground.
Yeah.
So final thoughts. Is Down the Drain a masterpiece?
I think so. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. What do you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I read a handful of celebrity memoirs.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Miles to Go.
It's just Miles to Go. No.
From Miles to Go to Just Kids. And everything in between. Not everything in between, but, you know, my fair share. I do love a good celebrity memoir.
Mm.
This one's my favorite.
Yeah. I just love how she writes. Like, she gets right into it and you're just like, bam. Like, you know immediately like how she's feeling and all this other stuff. And it's like, I don't know. It kind of sucks you in. I feel like this book sucks you in and spits you out.
Mm-hmm. Down the drain.
Spit it down the drain. Yeah. But yeah, I love it. Yeah. 10 out of 10. So I love how we picked this as our first book club like reading assignment.
And we'll never read again.
I know. I'm like, well, this book was perfect. I don't think we need to read again. No.
I think there's some interesting books.
Yeah. To be read.
Especially for us.
I agree. Yeah. I definitely want to read more, you know?
Yes.
I feel like I always say that. I'm like, I want to read more, but this really,
Yeah. That's all. We like really did skim over Julia Fox's life because she was also a dominatrix.
Oh yeah. What was her name? Mistress.
It was Valentina.
Valentina. Yeah.
Because her son's name's Valentino, and she just lived a whole crazy life.
Yeah, I feel like people should just read this book. Like we don't have the time to like break it down.
No, to pull like a Stefan, the Bill Hader character from Saturday Night Live. Like it does have everything.
Mm-hmm.
It has drug addiction. It has being a teenage dominatrix. It has mental health struggles. It has being Josh Safdie's muse. It has the storyline that really stuck with me was Gianna dying.
Yeah,
that was the thing, and also the regrets that she was like, we could have been together and we could have been happy.
Yeah, no, that hurt. That was sad. And she's like, oh, she had clammy hands too. I finally felt understood. I'm like,
oh.
I'm like, no.
But alas, this book does kind of have it all.
It does. So. It's definitely more. I knew it was going to be a lot deeper than what, you know, because like I feel like, before this, I didn't know a whole lot about Julia Fox. You've heard that she was a dominatrix, like just very on the surface level things. And, you know, you're like expecting the book to be like maybe more, it is kind of explicit in a lot of ways, but not like sexually or not in the way you think. It's like emotionally explicit, if that makes sense.
Definitely. Well, and I think she does a really good job of, you know, because, you know, like to your point, I heard a lot before reading this about like, oh yeah, she was, you know, like a party girl, like a girl in her own right in New York, and like a party, you know, like at the parties and like, you know, but when I sat down to read the memoir, it's not that vibe.
Mm-mm.
It's like, oh, there's a lot of predators in her life, and it does put it into perspective when you're like, oh, you know, Uncut Gems, like the Julia Fox we know now, putting it into perspective, like when she was gaining that reputation as like a New York City, like not socialite, but you know, just in the scene, she does a good job of like reminding the reader how young she is.
Yes, because I needed reminding at some points, just getting lost in how many things that just had happened.
And like personalizing it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, a lot of like it girls, you don't know them on that deep of a level.
Yeah, she really lets us in with this book. Also, you know what stood out to me? A standout scene. I can't believe I forgot. The Pope.
Oh, yeah.
When she doesn't get to see the dead Pope and have a moment with him.
Did I seriously just wait 16 hours to get slapped in the face in front of the dead Pope?
Yep. Because don't hug your friends.
Yeah, that put things into perspective. Like, because I think, is that because, you know, she was the town whore, so to speak, and like hugging, you know, in a church? Because, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
That's very wrong. Like, so many things are just blamed on her or on like the woman. You know what I mean? I don't know. So many things are wrong with our society, is what. I kind of already know this, but it's just, I don't know, reading Down the Drain and watching The Substance does kind of rile you up a little
bit. What weirdly, my main takeaway when she got slapped was I was like, oh, the Pope. Like my sense of time reading this book was so different because I just assume Julia Fox is like so much older. I'm like, oh, she was talking about the Pope that died in 2005. Like, it's like an interesting, you know, what's time?
I know. Especially when you're going down the drain.
Yeah, especially. But yeah. Anything else?
I don't know. Not really.
So.
I feel like we've covered it.
We really have. Okay, so The Substance, is this the film of the year?
I think, I'm trying to think what else has been this year, but.
Challengers. For me, personally.
Challengers is up there. The Substance is really good, though. Yeah. Was Wonka this year? Or that was last year, wasn't
year.
it? Okay, because that's definitely not in there anyways. I wouldn't put it up as.
But you loved that movie.
Yeah. I feel like this year we've had better movies, maybe. Is it just Challengers and The Substance, though? Is that... I'm trying to think of like what I've seen in the theaters, really.
My personal favorites have been Challengers now that I've seen it 6 times. And The Substance.
Yeah.
But, there's still movies. I haven't seen Honora yet.
Yeah.
And I haven't seen Wicked yet. So
That's true. Wicked is yet to come.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something Wicked this way. I don't know. I give up on that.
It's okay.
I don't know.
You're just dancing through life.
I'm just dancing through life, okay?
For good, defying gravity.
Yeah.
I just want to be popular.
Exactly. I do want to see Wicked. I'm excited for that.
I do too.
Yeah.
That's a little known. I don't know if you knew this about me. In high school, I went through a big Wicked phase.
I did know this about you.
Okay.
You're obsessed with Idina Menzel.
I was
You're
so obsessed.
I remember.
I was front row to see Idina Menzel in 2015, and I bawled my eyes out. It's okay.
Yeah. No, I love that. I love that for your journey.
Yeah.
I just don't have. I guess I missed out on the Wicked. I'm late to the party on it.
Well, I'm gonna probably be dragging you in 2 weeks to see Wicked. So
Yeah, it'll be fun.
you ready?
I'm ready.
Whiplash from The Substance to Wicked.
Yeah.
So I guess we're gonna wrap this baby up.
Oh my
Yes.
gosh, is this where we could do the Irish goodbye? Is that what we should start doing since we
should
have such a
start.
hard time
We
saying
really
goodbye?
should. We have a hard time. Yep.
Just us babbling.
You're right.
And then
Yeah. I'm a bitch. I'm a something. I'm a mother. I'm a whore. Bye. Bye.